Hey everybody, I'm Lisa Burwell, founder and editor-in-chief of V Magazine, and you are listening and or watching V Speaks Think Out Loud podcast. And today I am so excited to have a former V cover girl, owner of Tribe Kelley Surf Post, wife of Florida Georgia Line, Brian Kelley, and this beautiful girl is sitting here right before me. Welcome, Brittney. So glad to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. Hello, hello, everyone.
Yeah, so fun. So we were just talking about how last April we shot your cover for the magazine, and you're so beautiful on that cover and so real, and that surfboard in yellow and beautiful
Thank
blue
you.
looks so good. And you've since done lots of other editorials for other magazines too, and you're really walking into so many different things in your life right now. And you're young and beautiful, and the world is before you, and you have such a heart to help people, and you're a very inspirational person, and we're honored to have you. And I know you're doing something really new and exciting and near and dear to your heart. Tell the audience about Pivot Tribe, or is it Tribe Pivot?
Whatever you want it to be.
Okay. this new this new endeavor of yours.
Yes, absolutely. I was talking to you earlier. I could talk about this for hours. So it's a therapy process called the pivot process, and it was founded and created by my life coach, Lori Jean. And she has 30 plus years of research and jobs under her belt and therapeutic practices that she's studied and studied up under some really credible psychologists. And she, I don't want to misspeak the facts, but the past decade, she has been working on and basically putting people through this process. And she likes to call it a process because it's not a program, it's a process. It's a forever process. We're forever working on ourselves. And we forever need to be coached and we forever need to have someone healthy to talk to. So on these bases, she formed this pivot process. And to put it simply, it gives you tools that allow you to pivot into healthier conversations, relationships, moments, environments, versus, you know, a therapy session once a week. And let me explain a little bit the difference between having a therapist and having a coach. The pivot process, you have a coach. Therapy, I have done for 12 years of my life. I've been in therapy since I guess I was 16 years old. And therapy to me, in my opinion, it's a place you go, once a week for an hour a week, and you save up all your problems to just dump them on your therapist. And then they tell you, well, you've got trauma disorder, you've got PTSD, you have separation anxiety, you have all of this laundry list of things that you are now, in my opinion, I felt defined. And I also felt like I was kind of getting addicted to saving up all my stuff to kind of dump on my therapist. In this coaching process that I've been in for a year and a half, it was just a completely different experience. Number one, you still have the same template of talking to your coach once a week, but you're able to communicate with them in between sessions. So when things start to rumble or things start to come up, or that one family member texts you, or you have these red flags that go off, you instantly can contact your coach and say, hey, here's the feelings I'm having. Here's the response I want to respond. How can I lean on you? How should I respond? And typically it's you're doing probably the wrong thing and you're probably responding in a codependent way or, a past trauma conditioning that you have. And so your coach really helps you carve out these muscles and conditionings in your mind to rewire your brain, to recondition yourself. I like to say the pivot process is a lot about unlearning who I'm not.
Hmm,
Um,
very
you know
interesting.
what I'm saying? Your parents, your teachers, your friends, the environment you're around shapes every single conditioning that we have in our mind,
Mhm.
and down to reactions that we don't even know why we have them, down to these thoughts that are so traumatic and sometimes morbid and negative. All of those feelings are valid, but they all come from a conditioning or some sort of experience that we had when we were a child. So your coach really helps take you through this process and learn these tools to start adding to your tool bag. So
Right.
when that coworker starts to engage in a toxic conversation, you whip out that tool and say, "Oh, here's how I pivot out of this." Because in the past, maybe you didn't want to make them feel uncomfortable, or you didn't want to make them feel any sort of way, and you just kind of swallow it down and you end up feeling uncomfortable.
So it's helping you be the best person that you can be.
Absolutely, and it's helping you honor your soul and who you really are instead of just going with the flow of these conditionings and these things that your mind has unconsciously gotten
Mhm.
in the pattern of doing and saying and reacting to.
So is it, all digital? I know when you had posted it on social last week that you were launching this partnership. Do you meet a person or is it over the phone? Is it texting? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So the process in what I've been doing has been individual coaching, and that can be on the phone or virtually. And then what we're starting through Tribe Kelley, it's a more affordable option called the Pivot Tribes, and this is in a group of 6. So I wanted to explain a little bit about what the coaching was in general, and now with the Pivot Tribe, we're offering a more affordable way to get this type of coaching if you can't afford an individual coach, and you meet with 5 other people and your coach every week, and you get taken through the pivot process in 6 weeks for half the price.
Oh, and are you actually a coach too in the
I'm not yet,
okay, but
but I'm in training.
ah,
Yeah.
how long is that training?
I want to dig a little bit deeper into myself. I've, like I said, been in therapy for 11 years. I've been in this process, this pivot process for a year and a half. I'd like to get, especially with 2020, I'd like to get through the end of the year and undig
Yeah,
my stuff.
everybody has to get through the end of 2020.
Right. But
Boy,
I'd like to work on myself a little bit more. There's a
yeah,
couple little parts in my mind that I need to figure out, and I really would love to coach people, just
so
basically
commendable.
out of the goodness of my heart.
Right.
I'm not. I'm also not affiliated with this. I'm not affiliated in a way of being paid or getting any commission off this. This is kind of that feeling of you find this knowledge or this treasure and you just wanna
Share.
spread it to
Yeah.
everybody
Wow.
as much as you can.
I bet that would be hard to be the coach when you're hearing some or even, like, in the, field of psychology, just you're hearing a lot of people's problems too, so you definitely would need to, like, be a master, like
Mhm.
a Zen master to
You've
basically
gotta
be
be
able
healthy enough to take
very
other people's stuff
right,
on,
right.
and that's a big problem that I haven't really understood until recently is I was depending on people that weren't healthy enough to hear my stuff.
Ah.
Whether that
Mhm,
be your spouse,
mhm.
your best friend, or a coworker you've opened up to, you don't really realize that they may not be healthy enough emotionally, or they may not
Right,
understand in a professional way what you're going through or,
right,
or how to even help you. So
right.
to have that healthy person to lean on and get real expert advice and information,
Yeah,
is a lot
right,
healthier than trying to lean on someone who's unhealthy as
right.
well.
So, when you say you could, do this forever, like, it's not like a six-week course, it would be like a lifestyle, like, just like working out or eating well. So with the 6 or 5 people you said?
6, yeah.
So 6 people, then do you pick who they are? Like, how does, like, the Tribe Kelley, brand help facilitate who they are? And, like, do you nurture them, or is it just like a program where you're offering them the ability to financially afford the
Mhm.
program?
Yeah, good question. So, right now with Tribe Kelley, we are advertising for them. We are creating a 100% nonprofit give back collection to then fund people, or that will then fund other people going through this process. So, as far as Tribe Kelley, we're basically shouting it from the rooftops because we want everyone to know. We've teamed up with my life coach to create a more affordable option in these pivot
Yeah,
tribes
that's great.
and to also give free resources through our website, through the Pivot website. And this 6 weeks process really will set them up with the modules they need to almost coach themselves.
Mm,
But then they'll have the option to gain an independent coach at the end. And once you've gone through this 6-week process, you may not feel you need to talk with someone every single week. It may be 1 or 2 times a month. So
yeah.
where I'm at right now, I just talked to my coach once last month because when this stuff starts to come up, I start coaching myself because
Right.
I know all the modules. I have all the tools
Tools, yeah,
now.
yeah.
But if there's something that's still a little off or maybe just is rumbling too much, then I contact my coach.
Right.
Um,
It's pretty timely that you are, launching this in 2020, 3 months into COVID-19, and then on the heels of civil unrest like we have never seen before.
that's right.
Was it coincidental or, serendipitous?
We've been working on this for over 8 months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
It
yeah, it
was
was,
coincidental.
crazy timing, and, with having a following on the internet, there was a lot of opinions coming at me, and with the Pivot and the Pivot Tribes launching at that time, we had the conversations, "Do we wait? Do we just not, try to say anything?" And my first response was, "No, we can't wait."
It's
It
the best
literally
time.
starts with ourselves.
Right.
I mean, that was right when all of that, COVID and the civil unrights, when all that started happening, I immediately contacted my coach and I said, "How can I self-reflect? Can
Mhm.
you please help me self-reflect? How can I unlearn some of these conditionings?" Because as much as I thought I had it together, I had a lot of people challenge me. The editor of Forbes magazine, she contacted me and challenged me on asking me how I was actively, "You're posting all these things, but how are you
You mean
actively
for the in
making."
regards to the pivot? Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, Pivot and just the world.
Oh, really?
How are you actively helping people during COVID? How are you actively helping people during this civil, unjust? How are you? And so it kinda panicked me because I'm like, "We're doing a lot, but how are we really putting this into action?" And it does come back to pivot, like, I can post all the quotes, all the resources, all of my friends of equal injustice resource, all the things, but it really starts with ourselves, reflecting where we came from, what our parents conditioned in our minds, what our teachers conditioned in our minds, what our environment, where we live, how all that equals up to why we think the way we think. And just self-reflecting with my coach was, I mean, just groundbreaking because with a therapist, I feel like it just wouldn't have worked out the way
Mhm.
it worked out, and the coach gives me goals. Well, what are you gonna do from this week to next week to fulfill yourself in that,
Mhm.
How are you gonna be active in the things that you do? And, yes, you donated to these places, but how are you gonna be actively continuing this? And, you set your goals with your coach, whether you're in a group or individual, and you start with the whole perspective. That's one of the first modules you go through, and you say, "How am I?" You check in with yourself. How am I doing emotionally? How am I doing physically? How am I doing spiritually? How am I doing in my world around me? And how am I doing in my relationships? And so you kind of talk about that each week or every time you get on the phone with your coach or in your group, and it holds you accountable,
Mhm.
because sometimes when you're just diagnosed with trauma disorder, PTSD, you just, well, I've got trauma disorder, of course I'm gonna react that way.
Right.
But, okay, I've got trauma disorder, but how can I pivot into changing and rewiring my brain to
Mhm.
be a healthy person and to be that person that truly resonates with who I am deep down,
Right.
you know?
And so you were a psychology major in college. And
Mhm.
so would you say your roots for where you are right now was sort of formulating then? Because obviously you had an interest if you were majoring in psychology.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually started out in accounting, of all
Oh,
things,
I cannot see
and
you as an accountant.
I know, so I was, pretty much on my own at 17. My nana was tragically killed, unfortunately, when I was 17, and I was left to be the ward of a state,
So
and,
sad.
I knew that I was interested in psychology, but until I got into college and started seeing counselors, I just didn't know that I wanted to do it, and I really started majoring in psychology to kind of unwind my own stuff
Mhm.
and, figure myself out, and then it just became a direct passion to help others, and even my roommates in college, I started to kind of counsel them to an extent or talk about maybe what we talked about that day in developmental psychology, and just started to have that passion of talking to someone and feeling really fulfilled when they felt like they got something out of it.
Mhm.
And so I knew, I graduated college and went straight on the tour bus, and that's how Tribe Kelley was born
Right.
because I wrote the blueprints of, Tribe Kelley on the tour bus, but I knew deep, deep down that I wanted to help people And I knew I didn't wanna be a therapist, though. I
Mhm.
definitely knew I didn't wanna be a psychiatrist, but I love talk therapy.
Right. Well, plus you have a sphere of influence, and when you have a sphere of influence like you do, and then that coupled with your own passion to help people, you can probably accomplish so much more this way than if you even were a therapist, like a
Mhm.
conventional way, because, like, well, let's just say there is nothing conventional anymore. I mean, the world is, like, completely upside down, and everything has to be relearned, and we have to do things differently. So, sometimes I think one of the most important things in the world is to, if you have a sphere of influence or if you strive to have one, I think the most important thing about it is then to use it for probably what you really were put on the earth to do, and that everything else to me in my own personal life is a
I
prop to
like that.
do the real work.
Mhm.
And
Mhm. I love
that's
that.
so amazing that you have what you have because so many more people are going to listen, your credibility factor, your fan base. And so you're going to be able to affect so much change, especially with, your robust social marketing and just who you are and, as an influencer. I
And I
mean,
think that's what I mean, you I couldn't have said it better myself. That's, I think, what was frustrating in the beginning, being on the tour bus and not being able to kind of fulfill that mental health bone in me that I wanted to help others. I specifically wanted to help underprivileged kids who their parents may be incarcerated or their parents may be on drugs and they just don't have really a chance at all other than their school therapist. So I really wanted to dig in there. But it was frustrating because I'm like, I can help one person at a time, but how can I help
mm,
big group of people? And,
it's amazing.
fast forward and this is
And how many years is this? Not that many, right? From then until now, is it
like
like
5.5.
that's a really short
Yeah.
period of time? I mean, your trajectory just like shot up.
And I really knew
So
I needed to work out my stuff too. I was
you're
22 when I went on the bus, or
so young.
23 when I got married, 22 when I was on the bus. So I
You're an
just
old soul, I think, would you
oh,
say?
I
Yeah.
definitely, yeah. And I think growing up with my grandmother, I felt like I've been 50 years old since I was 7, honestly. I know it's the weirdest thing to say, but I feel like I'm just,
Yeah.
just an old soul for
Yeah.
sure.
That's good. I like old souls. They're good. Definitely good. Um, so what what did you do when COVID hit? Like, I just find it fascinating to know, like, how people, like, got through that. Did you
Mhm.
find a silver lining? Were you completely unnerved? Were you like, some people were cool with it, and they were just gonna do the, stay at home and, like, ride it out, and other people, weren't. Like, the experience was not the same for
Mhm.
everybody. So, you had to shutter the store just like, we all had to stop or just work from home and all that. How did you deal with that?
Yeah, if this would have been 5 years ago, my husband and I would have had to deal with it a lot differently. We didn't have the finances that we have now. We didn't have the home that we have now, the resources that we have now. So 5 years ago would have been a way different scenario than now. We're really blessed and in the fact that my husband has had a really great job the past 5 years. We've been smart and, set up our life in Nashville and here in Florida and we just felt really, really fortunate to not have to worry about the finances. But with that being said, we have a lot of family, a lot of friends, a lot of people around us, and we felt blessed to be able to help them financially. But for us personally, my husband and I, we were in Africa for 3 weeks. And on week 3 is when the COVID stuff started getting pretty serious. And the couple that we were with, we were just kind of trying to talk back and forth, like, should we leave? Should we not? And so we ended up staying the full trip and we ended up flying home at the beginning of the crazy COVID stuff. So this is like
Mm.
middle of March at this point. And as we're flying home from Africa, Johannesburg here, the flight attendant comes up and he says, "This is the last flight out of
Wow.
Africa." And we had like 3 or 4 flight attendants say that, like, "Did you know this was the last flight?" And we're like, "No, I guess it was just a God thing, you know?"
Wow. You would have been stuck.
Yeah, and so, when we landed, it was very different for us because we went and tried to really enjoy our vacation, we landed and then started just consuming all the media, all the information, and, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was very down.
Mhm.
I'm an empath, no
Mhm.
matter what position I'm in, I do feel blessed, we were okay, we have food and shelter, but I'm an empath. I immediately started to just
Mhm.
feel for everybody, man.
Yeah, yeah.
The homeless
Yes.
nonprofit community that involved in Nashville, I mean,
Yeah,
whew, it
yeah.
just there were people, hardworking people who never had to worry about paying their bills, that had just got hit by a tornado at the beginning of March, and then went straight into COVID, that they've worked hard their whole life, been a middle class citizen, and then all of a sudden, they're on the street, and
Wow.
their kids could go, to social services. So, for me, it was pretty dark the first
Yeah,
couple of weeks
yeah.
because even, like I said, in the position of being blessed, it
Right.
just was
Yeah,
heavy,
yeah.
man. It was
Very.
so heavy. So we try to do as much as we could, and, um, I feel like I'm, like, trying to toot my own horn. I don't mean this when I say this, but we ended up raising $50,000 with our sweatpant launch, and we donated that straight to the Nashville homeless community and ended up, I think, moving, I don't wanna say the number, but several families into
Wow,
apartments for the
wow,
year,
that's
and
awesome.
just help, little by little.
Right.
But yeah, that was a lot, and I feel like since then, we've just been really trying to figure out with each launch and with each thing that we're able and blessed enough to do, how can we give back and
Right,
how can we just keep that momentum,
right.
even when there's not a huge disaster
Mhm.
happening, how do
Yeah,
we once I don't wanna say this is all over because it really is a new world, but how do we
right,
keep that momentum of constantly seeking out
right,
underprivileged, nonprofit associations that are really the hands and the feet of Jesus
right,
trying to do
right,
this work?
right. Compassion and, to whom much is given, much is expected.
Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
that's just like the easiest golden rule to live by, and, that's what we're here to
Mhm.
do.
And we try, we're very much about, tithing, the right percentage and being faithful followers, but not just writing a check,
Right,
not just
right,
shooting that check off and feeling good about yourself, but
right,
really getting in there and
right,
seeing like who is this going to? Where is it going? How is this affecting immediate lives that need changed? Not, who's getting paid on the board and who's
right.
doing, just trying to really focus and have good intentions and where the money goes
Yeah,
too.
that's amazing. Good for you.
Trying.
So, Brittany, you were open for about 8 months as a neighbor right across the street from the landmark restaurant, the Red Bar. And then, so tragically and sadly, the Red Bar burned to the ground. And that was a shocking experience for everybody in town. Like, I went on my first date with my husband at the Red Bar.
Oh, that's so
And
awesome.
everybody else has something, like they got engaged or, maybe they broke up with their boyfriend at the Red Bar, like, I don't know, but everyone has a story. And so what did that do to you when you look out your window and the building is burned to the ground? And, like, how I mean, that's a tragic, thing to endure as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It was definitely devastating. I guess I've been going to the Red Bar since I was like 12 years old. Um, 2 houses down from the Red Bar, we used to grow up and stay with our friend that had land there, and we would just barefoot walk over to the Red Bar, flirt with boys, dance, hide from our parents, all the fun things. And yeah, I mean, right when it burned down, even when we immediately heard, we're gonna rebuild, but it's just, you can't rebuild those memories and those walls and the energy that was existing in there. You can build new for sure, but I think those old preserved memories are just so special and definitely felt like a tiny little piece of, us and our memories, I guess died, but they're
Mhm.
still there. But yeah, I mean, I think it's great that there's gonna be new life there and,
I think the building looks good.
the building looks awesome. I'm hoping that I get, like, a pre-invitation or
I hope you
something
do
if
too.
anyone's
I hope I
listening.
get one too. Ollie, please.
But, yeah, we're excited. We're about to add our 3rd shift. For us and the girls, that was our most fun we would have is 3rd shift. We turn the music up a little bit. We encourage people to bring their drinks
There's a
in.
party.
We end up having a dance party pretty
Yeah.
much in there. We have a little backyard area where people usually send their husbands and kids to play cornhole and hang out, and the wives stay in there and shop with us. So we're ready. We're
Yeah.
super ready, yeah.
Good. Well, all right. Do we know when it's opening? I
You know,
heard, like, July 4th weekend. Did
they
you
hate to
hear?
see me coming over there
Because you were
because
asking? Oh,
I'm like, "When do I need to put girls on the schedule?"
oh, all right. Yes, you need to know.
So, I've maybe gotten the inside scoop. It's gonna be the first week of July to the public.
Okay.
So, I don't wanna,
Terrific.
like,
Right. Don't
announce
spread that
more
rumor. We won't spread that right now, but I think so too. I had heard that as well. So maybe we want to just spend the remaining time together with you, just talking about how people can contact you, the websites, and like maybe any other information so that we can get people to start talking and joining
Yeah,
the tribe.
absolutely. You can obviously follow us on Tribe Kelley. We're always providing free resources from just inspirational quotes to different places that you can use for free to contact people through the mental health channels. We have resources on our website. And then Love to Pivot is going to be the handle for the Instagram. And also the website is lovetopivot.com. There are just dozens and dozens of beneficial blog posts on there that were written by my coach and the founder, Lori Jean. So a lot of free stuff on there if you can't afford coaching right now.
Good. Good to know.
Also, which actually I brought the book to you today, my coach has written a book called #HealthyAdult, and it kind of walks you through why the pivot process was created, some of the verbiage that we use, and some of the modules that you can incorporate into your own life. So you can get that off Amazon, which is a really great resource. We're
Thank you.
also doing a 4-part series right now, my life coach and I on Instagram Live, which we are saving to our Instagram TV, and that will be on my page, Brittney Kelley. And let's see, today's Wednesday. Tomorrow will be our 2nd part series. So, but all of that will be saved on Instagram TV as a free resource. And then if you want to join the Pivot Tribes, that's a 6-week process. You can sign up whenever. You can go to lovetopivot.com and contact them, or we're going to leave you guys a phone number on here that you can call. And that's $60 a session compared to the individual coaching sessions at around $100 a session. So we did create the Pivot Tribes as a more affordable option to go through this same process and also virtually connect with 5 others, which is
Yeah, that's powerful.
so powerful, and it's all confidential. And man, to connect with other people and you not knowing those people and them being, completely outside of your circle and your hometowns and being able to just connect with others and that have diverse backgrounds and different stories, and it's just so powerful. And that's why my coach and I created this for a
Well,
more affordable option, and during these times of darkness and isolation, to be able to connect with others
a
too.
sense of belonging because everybody, needs to belong.
Hmm.
And because we all became pretty forced to be disconnected, that is like this is the most timely thing you could be doing for people right now.
Hmm.
Pretty awesome. Um, all right, well, thank you for all that. And then tell us a little bit about your line that you just launched too, right? Your
Yeah,
coastal
coastal safari.
safari.
Yeah.
Cool.
So this is something we've been working on for a little over a year. There's some just easy breezy, cool pieces in there, all made in the USA. All the fabric down to the thread is sourced here domestically. I mean, even the
Love it.
thread that goes through these clothes. I mean, it's awesome. This guy in North Carolina, we get it from the best, highest quality thread manufacturer out there, and right here in the U.S. So we're not looking to outside sources. We're really trying to give our people business here, and um, yeah, the Coastal Safari collection is just, I have it all on right now. I've been living
Looks
in it
awesome.
for probably 10 months. So, it
I like the
was
camo stuff too
yeah,
that you have. Yeah.
the beach camo. So I created some of the patterns and prints in here based off of some photography I did over the past 2 years. So all of the patterns are original. Everything's drawn from whether it be travel inspiration or just a piece that I don't have. For example, I have this piece on called the Second Skin. It's just sorry guys if you're watching this, but it's just something to hold the girls up
Yeah.
but not be a real bra.
Right. It's pretty.
Something just to smooth you out a little bit. So things that I went to look for in stores that just weren't there that I created.
Mhm.
So a little mix of, some familiar body styles with some things that just weren't out there, and then some original prints.
Is
And
this
even
part of it? the coastal. This
So
yours is
actually
okay.
what you have on
Yeah.
is a good friend of mine's line. Her name's Danielle Bernstein,
Oh,
and we
okay.
just started carrying her in Tribe
Oh,
Kelley, yeah,
okay.
which I need to get you her book too. She's
Okay.
awesome. So we've just started to carry a couple other lines of either people I'm directly connected
Yes.
to or people that I know are sourcing things fairly and doing, right by their brand. She's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks
Love it.
great on you, by the way.
Thank you.
But
I love your
yeah,
clothes. I have a lot of your clothes, and I wouldn't view myself as like your typical, like probably demographic, but I
girl,
don't
our
care.
demographic is everybody,
I
all
like it. I'm
ages.
gonna wear it. I don't care.
Well, you look great in it. You need to come by and we
Thanks.
need to play dress up.
Okay,
I think some of this stuff in the coastal safari, you're gonna look really good in.
that's cool. Cool, cool, cool. Well, you've been an amazing guest. Thank you so much. Come on anytime to
Well,
update
thank you.
us
This was
on all
fun.
that you're doing, and we will see you probably at a Red Bar party. We'll probably see you at
Yeah.
the store, and then I just think that you're an amazing person. And I think you're incredibly giving and inspirational and a hero,
Oh my goodness.
a
Thank you.
shiro. You know,
Thank you.
yeah, shiro.
Well, thank you so much,
Thank
and
you.
thank you for having me and for everything you're doing and for making me a cover girl.
Ah,
I
you're a
mean, that was
beautiful
my
cover girl.
most amazing, best experience in media ever. I
Oh,
mean, usually I get so nervous and I'm like sweating through my clothes, and even coming here today, I'm like, I just feel like I'm going to hang out with my
well,
friends.
good.
Yeah.
That's what we
Yeah,
want.
no pit
All
stands,
right.
maybe a little bit, but not too much.
Well, we just honored to have you on the cover, and that was a great shoot. And Brenna did a great job with it, and Abby Ryan wrote your article, and I read it earlier today, just to like get my head back into like the story that we had written. And I just told Abby, man, that was a good
It
story.
was so good. Yeah, good job, Abby. That was so good.
All right, well, thank you so much, Brittany, and have a great day. Love you.
Thank you. You too.
Okay.
Love you too.